this in a video that we have called the Triple Helix, and if you want a copy of that, you can get it. Back in the early 50s, there was two scientists by the name of Watson and Crick that was working on the formula for how DNA is shaped. And Watson and Crick finally came up with the solution that DNA was a double-stranded or a double helix molecule that had the encoding for all of life. There was another scientist working at the time by the name of Linus Pauling that theorized that DNA had three strands to it. Here is an image of it right here. Now, right next to it, there is an occult symbol called the triskele, or the triquetra is another form of this. Notice that this triskele and Pauling's three-strand DNA look very, very, very similar to the 3-6 logo that you find in the movie The Omen. And so whereas man has two strands of DNA, I believe, and I can believe that I can show this to you in the pages of the Bible, in our movie, in our video, The Triple Helix. You need to see this if you don't understand this. That the theory is to add a third strand to man's DNA. In Daniel chapter 2, verse 43, and whereas thou sawest the iron mixed with miry clay, they shall mingle themselves with the seed of men, but they shall not cleave one to another, even as iron is not mixed with miry clay. And so in Freemasonry, the idea of the square and the compass is the two kingdoms, the opposites, that are fused together, that form the new mankind who is a mixture of the gods and men together. This is the theme and the concept of Freemasonry and the New Age movement, the occult, everything that's going on around this. This is the theme. Marilyn Ferguson used this symbol of three-strand DNA, or these 3 6s together, in her book, The Aquarian Conspiracy, basically the New Age movement's conspiracy to take over every institution in the world. That's what she was writing about. This symbol is a Freemason symbol. Notice the opposites here of these three men. This is a ritual in Freemasonry called 3 times 3. Notice their feet. They have 3 feet joined together at the bottom. And they have 3 hands joined together at the top. They have 3 hands joined together in the middle. That shows the fusion of them together. The 3 hands above and the 3 feet below, if you add 3 to 3, you end up with the number 6. And notice there on both the right and the left-hand corner, you see the triquetra again. You have a serpent's body forming the 3-strand triquetra and the 3 heads of the serpent. So you have a number 6 here, and you have the same thing on the opposite side. We talked in our videos before about the Hierophant and what his job is. Aleister Crowley, who himself was referred to as the Beast 666, designed a set of tarot cards. This tarot card called the Hierophant. Notice in the Hierophant's right hand, he holds a triquetra, a symbol for the number 3, and his left hand extended downward has the number 3. He has 3 fingers extended. Notice the number 3 here. We have 3 and 3 joined together, which is the number 6. The meaning of the Hierophant says, the Hierophant teaches matters of faith and religion and belief and morality. He is a wise teacher, full of esoteric and occult knowledge. He aids in understanding the occult mysteries. He holds the keys, look at this, to transformation. The transformation of mankind by way of these sacred numbers, 3 and 3 together, making 6. He oversees the initiation of people into the mystery religions of ancient Babylon. Notice that the Hierophant card is a near-perfect representation of the God of Freemasonry, or the God of the occult world, the God of transformation, known as Baphomet. And we actually have a video on this one as well called Baphomet, the God of transformation. Notice that Baphomet has 3 fingers extended upward, 3 fingers extended downward. Those 2 3s added together, they are opposites. One pointing up, one pointing down. They are fused together in the same body. Notice that it's a half-man, half-beast body. It is the number of a man and the number of a beast, John said in Revelation 13. And that number makes the number 6. Now, you get this concept because now we're looking at it in the occult world. We've looked at what the Bible says. We see the theme of the number 6 and how it is the fusion of God and man together in the body of Jesus Christ. Now we're looking at symbols in the world, in the occult world, that are indicating to us the coming of the Antichrist in the last days. The fusion of opposites can be seen in the Mormon church, where they have what they called hieros gamos, or sacred marriages. Any good Mormon will be married inside the Mormon temple. You have the male, which represents the sons of God of Genesis 6, and the female, which represents the daughters of men in Genesis 6. And if you think I'm making this up, here is Joseph Smith's own drawing of the holy undergarments that are required to be worn by those who are practicing this ritual marriage in the Mormon temple. By the way, when Mormons believe that when you participate in this ceremony and husband and wife are joined together as man and woman in this eternal sacred marriage ritual that's held in the Mormon temple, they believe, they're taught that they will become, listen to this, gods one of these days. That is exactly what Lucifer promised mankind in the Garden of Eden. He said, "Ye shall be as gods." The very undergarments that they have to wear inside the Mormon temple when they perform this marriage has the two symbols of Freemasonry known as the blade and the chalice. Notice that they are three-sided figures, the square and the compass. One represents a number 3, the other represents a number 3. Joined together, that makes the number 6. They are the fusion of opposites. Even the very temple itself. Notice that there are 3 spires on one side and 3 spires on the other, joined together in the same temple. The word temple is a picture of the human body. 3 and 3 fused together in the same body, making the number 6. The fusion of the God world with man's world. Daniel chapter 2, the iron kingdom, they shall mingle themselves with the seed of men. That is what this number 6 is pointing to. We have a tarot card bearing the number 6, which references Genesis chapter 6. This tarot card is called the Lovers, the union of male and female together. Notice that in this card, you even have a 6-sided figure called a hexagon. We'll look at that further here in a little bit, showing the fusion of opposites. The male representing the sons of God, the female representing the daughters of men, joining together, just like in Genesis chapter 6. In the occult world, this is seen as the sun god Osiris, who fuses together with the earth goddess Isis. This is a rendering of the sons of God and the daughters of men. And notice that Genesis chapter 6 says that when they came together, they bare children unto them. Now I want you to understand how God shows us this thing in real life. In real life, when the sun shines down on the earth, and the Egyptians all saw this as sort of a religious concept, when the sun shines down on the productive earth, it produces the fruit of the earth. And so notice the sun god joining together with the earth goddess produces something that hangs on a tree. What was it that God told Adam not to eat? The fruit that was hanging on the tree of, listen to this, the knowledge of good and evil. Their opposites fused together in the same fruit. And God said, "Cursed is anyone that shall hang on a tree." Speaking of that same concept, there is another tarot card called the Hanged Man. Notice that his arms folded behind his back make a triangle. That's a number 3. His legs crossed form a triangle. That is a number 3. And so we have a representation of 3 and 3 fused together by the Hanged Man, which is the number 6. This is a picture. The Hanged Man is a picture of the Antichrist. He is cursed in that he hangs from a tree. Remember the son of David, Absalom, who tried to steal the throne of David. This is all a picture of what is happening in the last days. Absalom, who tries to steal his father's throne, who has hair as a woman. That is Revelation chapter 9. And he is cursed because he is hanged on a tree. It's a picture of the Antichrist in the last days. When you join the Freemason Lodge, which please don't do, you go in as the entered apprentice, and they dress you up in a very peculiar fashion. Notice that you have one sleeve rolled up and one sleeve rolled down. That's opposites. Notice that you are sort of clothed, but your chest is bare. That's opposites. One leg, pant leg rolled up, one pant leg down. Those are opposites. And you have a noose around your neck. Cursed is anyone who hangs from a tree. You are bearing the image of the fusion of the opposites in your life. You are bearing the image of the Antichrist. And notice there in the background, you have the two pillars of Jacob and Boaz with two six-sided figures in the background. That is called a hexagram. It is two triangles, one pointing up, one pointing down. They are the two threes that are joining together to make the number 6. This image is from an old book on Freemasonry that I found at Google Books. You can probably find the same book. I can't remember which one it was. But notice that in the background in this symbol, you have 3 hexagons together. The hexagon is a representation of the number 6. So what do you have? 6, 6, 6. This is an image from Eliphas Levi's book, Transcendental Magic. Notice that you have a field of opposites here. You have a triangle pointing up, that is the number 3. You have a triangle pointing down, that also is the number 3. It is the fusion of opposites, white and black together, which forms the number 6. Here is another illustration from the same book, from Eliphas Levi. You have the two opposites together, one dark and one light. The triangles, the number 3, one pointing up and one pointing down, that makes the number 6. You have that which is above and that which is below fused together. And then you have the symbol of the Templar cross, which, remember, when we see the letter X, we understand that it represents the chromosomes of man where the DNA is stored. In Dan Brown's novel, The Da Vinci Code, he reveals that there is a peculiar idea inside the painting that Leonardo da Vinci made of the Last Supper. We have the pairing of the two opposites, Jesus and not John sitting next to him, but Mary Magdalene, who the Da Vinci Code tried to make you believe was the wife of Jesus Christ. So here we have this concept of the sons of God, the male, the daughters of men, the female. Notice that their body images are making 2 triangles, one pointing up, one pointing down. This is referred to as the blade and the chalice. This is a number 3 on one side, a number 3 on the other, joined together, making the number 6. In the movie, The Da Vinci Code, the character Robert Langdon is going through the Louvre Museum in Paris, and he's pointing to a particular sculpture that references as above, so below, and the number 3. 2 triangles nearly touching one another, making a fusion of the 2 threes together, or the number 6. And if you remember, if you read the book or saw this particular movie, one of the places that they thought they were going to find the true secret or the true Holy Grail was at Rosslyn Chapel, and it was under the symbol of this, what they called the Star of David or the Seal of Solomon, which was a hexagon, a triangle pointing upward, a triangle pointing downward, and this represents the number 3. On the Great Seal of the United States, you have an eagle, which Manly Hall says is actually a phoenix. Remember the album cover that we saw earlier, Destroyer 666, and it's Phoenix Rising. Phoenix is an image of the Antichrist because he is destroyed in ashes and rises up out of the fire, out of the pit, out of his own ashes, and lives again. Manly Hall says that this eagle on the back of our dollar bill on the Great Seal is a stylized phoenix bird. Emblazoned above his head are the 13 stars, and we'll talk about the number 13 when we get to that in our series on the King James Code.